Welcome to Masters of Data, everyone. I'm Adam White, Senior Director of Technical Marketing here at Sumo Logic, and I have with me some old friends and a new friend on the podcast. Zoe, good to see you again. David, always good to see you. Eric Avery, welcome to Masters of Data. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Very excited to be here.
Would you just introduce yourself real quick, just so people know who you are?
Absolutely. I wear a few hats at Sumo Logic, but these days I'm our head of infrastructure and data, passionate about both pretty intensely.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Eric's
Well,
like a real, like actual smart version of what I pretend to be on TV.
David's lying. I'm a pretender following his example. So
David stayed at a Holiday Inn, and here we are.
Now the
Express, Holiday Inn
song
Express.
The
Yeah.
Pretender is now in my head, so that's all up.
yes, yes.
I just needed to throw us off from the beginning. Sorry, there we go.
No, it's
There you
good.
go.
So we're talking about data pipeline management today and why it matters for security. So, Eric, I know as we've talked a lot about this, it's a near and dear to your heart, as you said. But kind of what is it from your perspective? What is this thing, data pipeline management? And like, what do people mean when they say it, or do they mean different things sometimes? Just kind of like give us the landscape, if you will.
I think ultimately, when most people are talking about data pipeline management, that's the umbrella term or the industry term for really just getting a lot of data from a lot of places from A to B, where B is one place, and that data is readily available and readily useful.
Can
Yeah.
I add a better technical definition?
Please, David.
You're already throwing
So
shade. I
you
want to
Already
do a
one
remember
better
upping me.
definition.
Better.
you
Fine,
remember
David.
in Mario Bros when you go down the pipe and then you go through all the other pipes?
Yeah.
That's data
That's
pipeline.
definitely it. Yep.
I
That was
thought
my
that
It's
was
an
super
the
upside down
internet.
technical.
tree.
I thought that was the internet. The internet is pipes, not
No,
trucks.
they're
For
Series of
those
lying
who
to
are
tubes.
you.
old enough, a series of tubes.
Yeah,
For
The
yeah,
those who
internet's when
knows.
you kick one of the turtles.
Oh.
Mm.
I'm here for technical expertise. Sorry, go ahead.
Love it. Love it.
So I think you said the word better in there. Like presumably you're doing something, you're normalizing, you're making it useful. What does that world kind of look like as far as the pipeline is concerned?
Yeah, I think that there's two different pictures here, and it's almost like looking at a Pollock painting versus something more like Picasso, in the sense of when you don't have data pipeline management, you really have a ton of individual silos of data, individual processes that you're drawing from, and repeating the word individual, for a third time here, different types of uh, operating models, way of pulling it, et cetera. It's all very nuanced. When you add data pipeline management to the picture and the various tools that exist out there today, which are getting better by the day, um, you kind of bring that all under one common framework, one common heading. There's a lot more uh, almost repetition to the way it's done, a little bit more of an expected baseline that you can draw from. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a ton of capability inside of there when you have that. I think of it as data pipeline management gives you your foundation, and then you get to build on top of that foundation with, okay, I'm no longer worried about how I'm pulling things and where my silos are. Now I'm worried about what I do with my data and
Yeah,
how that's going to present out.
Yeah,
yeah,
I think about like we have a diagram like that for what Sumo Logic does, and kind of like data pipeline is like the foundation, right? Like first you need to give us the logs, then we'll do all the fancy analytics and have AI and do SIEM and like all the layer cake of that. But like you don't get to build your layer cake unless you have the data kind of in there to start. Would that kind of be a
Yes.
fair representation?
I think, in a simple way, they're complementary, what Sumo Logic does and what a data pipeline management platform can do, but not out of the box. And I think that's important because in a data pipeline, where you're depositing that data at the end of that pipeline, whatever you're putting in that pipeline matters. And Sumo Logic is going to care about that specific type of data relating to security info, logs, all the things that we have going in there into our product. You've got to make sure it's there at the end of that pipeline as well. So the pipeline management makes it easier to get that and make it available. But you still need some solid data engineers and architects at the end of that, pulling from the right places and leveraging ideally Sumo experts to make sure we're drawing on all the right info.
That was
yeah.
so professional.
That's
That was
nice.
my best
Yeah.
take at
I
it. I'm not
mean,
sure I can get much better than that. Don't ask me to repeat it because I can't nail it
We'll
again.
that
just
was
clip out
good.
that piece. We'll just kind of clip that and put you on repeat. It's
Let's hit
perfect.
record
Done.
now.
Perfect. One
Yeah,
soundbite. Am I done
yeah.
now? So I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, good. Good job.
Great.
Episode
Good episode.
done.
Logs
Yeah.
go in the pipe, go to sumo, make good thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. There are some other middle layers out there, I mean, Cribble, I know comes up a lot, kind of like things that are adjacent or, work with, kind of like how do you see some of those adjacencies and like where do they kind of fit, from a category standpoint?
I think
Yeah.
again I go back to the word complementary. I think that's the best way I
Mhm.
can put it is um it, and this is it's actually interesting an interesting comparison to AI to draw actually. AI is an umbrella term. There's a lot that falls under that. Data pipeline management is the exact same thing. So, Cribbles and the other tools out there, they're all part of one giant bucket, which is really just again what I said earlier on that and what David put better, the Mario pipelines coming up in
Wait.
one.
Hold on. Did you just say that all of these multi-million-dollar marketing teams have not made things more clear? That there's an umbrella term and we don't really know
In
what
case
goes
you
on
don't
or what it
realize,
means?
this is how David throws shade at me all the time. Basically, I get accused of all the ills of all marketing teams ever, which is fine. I can own
Yeah.
that.
I
Zoe
think
bears
marketing
that
teams,
weight.
they might be the victims too in this. I personally blame the business majors, but at the end of the day. So
Oh, now you and David are on the same page.
As someone who failed out of many fine universities, I too agree with you.
I think
I'm a
those are
business
good.
major and a marketer, so I think I'm the nexus of the problem,
I think
So
actually,
yeah,
in
Adam
so.
this
I
is
in
think
the
this
so.
regard.
problem.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Underscore the.
Anybody that knows him knows this.
That's right. It's not the first time
At
that's
least he's self-aware,
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I guess
So
so I'm thinking about we can talk about these different toolings, these different ways that people bring data in, right? You were saying like you need these engineers, you need these solution people. Great term there, Zoe. Solution people to figure out how to bring in the data. Is this kind of tell me how like OTel or something like that kind of fits into the equation, for a Sumo Logic perspective, but also for broader kind of data pipeline management as you see it, Eric.
That's a good question. I think OTel is a very specific framework that is going to be drawing on a very specific type of data. So this is where I go back to feed it appropriately and draw on it. We're going to need to make sure that we have the right data coming into the pipeline. So this is where I get back to a solid foundation being built with the right tool, with the right sources being drawn in, and what we haven't really touched on a whole lot here, but the right transformations to make the data useful is also going to be critical to that particular picture. I think OpenTelemetry is not really any different in that sense and how it plays in that space. At the end of the day, the one thing that you can always expect about data is that data is data. You transform it, it's still new data. And it's just what are
how
you positioning it towards?
how do you know when you haven't done that well, Eric? Like the transformations, like how does inefficiency show up or am I making sense with that question at all? Like
You are. I think there's a couple of benchmarks, and I can put it in, from a sumo perspective as well as not. Like from a sumo perspective, and maybe an overlapping one, the volume of the data you have to comb through to get the answer is definitely a good measurement of how well you've actually done on priming that data set.
yeah.
And when I look at data and kind of our data platform at the end of that data pipeline, we're focused on a very clear, I say clear very, very vaguely, but clear medallion architecture. I know, a little bit of oxymoron, but a medallion architecture model here where, we've got the raw, we've got the silver, we've got the, gold polished, but silver is actually the space we play in the most. And I think that's volume is going to be one of those key indicators. I think the other part of this is really going to be um, you find out pretty quickly, do you have the right data? Because if you get part of an answer, but not the full answer, or you can't go deep enough into that drill down, you're missing something, whether that be a data source, a specific dimension of that data geared towards that one part. You may have the aggregate, but do you have the underlying? And Sumo is a tool that very much wants, we want to encourage drilling down. We facilitate that. We make it easy. The data has to match.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also like the data has to match. You have to understand like what you're bringing in and why you're bringing in and all those kind of things. But you also have to like while you're how you're building or whatever tooling you're using for all of the management coming into Sumo. Sumo can handle structured and unstructured data at a pretty deep level. So you need to make sure the tools that you're bringing it in with can. Most We're
Yes.
getting better, but I remember it wasn't very many years ago where unstructured data just did not move through the pipeline. It was you couldn't. You're like, nah, we're just dropping those logs. We don't need them. But I think with some of the standardization of things. Like OTel kind of standardizes that, like whatever you're pulling for with OTel, because you're not going to be pulling SAS or, like tool logging from it. It's more of, you know,
Mhm.
um, you know, uh, computers, even if they're in a cloud. But then with all the SAS kind of doing things, however they want, basically. The more standardization we get, the easier it's going to be to get all this kind of stuff working. And we're kind of fixing that problem. It's like everything in security. If we just standardize things, things would be safer. And everybody's like, no, I'm a special butterfly. I'm going to do it my way. And we're like, are you sure? So we have to build security tools to do the standardization. So whether we're using,
Yeah.
AI to help build parsers or whatever you're having to do, like we're having to fix all that on our end instead of just the industry growing up a little bit.
No, exactly. And I think it's it's more of a speed to insight and performance problem than it is anything else at the end
Yeah.
of the day.
Yeah.
I know internally. So my data group that I own is data engineering and analytics, and an exercise we're going through too that I think is not new to many companies is better parity between what are we showing as an insight versus what actually exists under the covers for those exact two reasons. You can 100% get A without B, but the way it operates, the way it performs, it's not going to be the same. And then I will go back. There's a third case here where maybe you sometimes can't get as good of an A because you don't have the right data or data dimension underneath there. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, Eric, I'm curious, kind of, from a day-to-day perspective, like what is a typical day look like for you from a data pipeline management perspective? Like, presumably anytime this is a new initiative or whatever, like there's setup time, there's tuning, but like what does it look like from kind of a maturity perspective as you go along that curve with a solution?
That's a good question. I think that early on, and speaking to somebody who's kind of just recently finished out this exercise at Sumo, we have we spend a lot of time in the weeds of asking those questions of what are the right dimensions? Like what is the right tool? What has the right capabilities? And a lot of it is really dependent on what you plan to do with that data.
Yeah.
Sumo being so AI leaning, we look for a tool that can output appropriately to be able to integrate with all the stuff we're doing in our Dojo AI platform and everything else. Internally, we look for a platform, that can integrate AI models well and LLMs and a number of other things that we can do to enhance and enrich our data, pre-contextualize it more or less. So that's definitely, I think, a big part of the early phase. Now, once you get past that, then I would say it gets to the fun part. The designing is fun too, but standing up, that's mostly foundation building. The fun part is then you get to execute. You get to find out what more data you can bring in, what use cases people want to put forth, where you can kind of start poking and testing the limits of what data can really do and drive. And at Sumo Logic, it's an especially exciting venture because Sumo is one of the most data rich companies I would say in the world in terms of what we process, what we have access to. It's a it's a very fun position to be in at that particular phase. So two parts, very, very important. One becomes much more responsive. One's much more, planning ahead. But if you plan right, then it's just enhancement over time.
I just remember there was that whole trend for a while where people were like, data is the new oil. So if you say that we're really rich in our data, are we like oil barons now? Do I get to put that on my
do,
LinkedIn bio?
do we get oil rights is the question. Because if so,
Yes.
if
Yeah.
I get mineral rights, it's worth it.
Yes.
I just
Yes.
wanted to clarify something for our audience. Eric just talked about all that and used the word fun and really fun. So if you ever
I
thought that
meant
he
it.
was a corp person, now you realize that no, he is in the depths of nerdom, as deep as we are.
I didn't hear the word daunting once, and
No,
Mm.
No, I love
no,
data. It's
or
it's so
massive.
so
Mm.
totally wild. But if you'd asked me a few years ago when I was managing data platforms more directly, like data had a lull. It was getting a little bit less prevalent for a little while until AI
Why?
took off a little bit more.
Why, Eric? Like,
You have like these older platforms, like I was working in Hortonworks and Cloudera, which are now one and the same, and a few other kind of ancient data lake systems back then. But at the time, data was there, it was useful from an ML perspective. AI was, people were talking about it, people were buying, but it wasn't in a like state of usefulness at that particular point. I think it was more of a
yeah,
state of curiosity. So data had its ML knowledge. That's kind of where it capped, and people had a certain level of excitement about that data because that was really as far as you could take it at the time. I think that lull, that's where you hit that period. Now with AI utility really coming into the picture here and being able to kind of poke into some new, previously unexplored territories of value, uh, you're seeing data take off a whole lot more. So it's AI's been good for data. I will say that it's been great for data and kind of renewing that excitement and honestly the power of what data can do. I think people kind of lost sight of that for a little bit, at least from the angle I was sitting. Maybe not the whole world, but it was definitely a little bit of a lull while you were in a data position at the time.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that because I think that's something that, I think about a lot from a sumo perspective, and I see it kind of across the board is, obviously we're in like an AI boom, right? So all these startups, all these companies are able to build things and be like, we use AI and we can do all these things. But if you don't have that underlying data, if you don't have access to like that oil, whatever, all of the wealth of data, your AI isn't surfacing anything. Like it's just kind of running and being like, well, it could be this, I don't know. But like if you actually have that richness and depth, then AI can help you elevate and access the data you have that's actually useful, that can
Yeah.
facilitate your next action and get you going.
Was there a reluctance, Eric? I mean, just I'm thinking of like the volume of data that you might not even think about now versus that kind of prior time where it's like, well, are we even going to be able to do anything with all of this data? Therefore, like, why would we bring it in and spend the money, to do like, was that a thing?
Actually, that's probably one of the things that I would say wasn't super different. Mainly because machine learning is still so powerful in terms of the insights it can throw out there. And
Yeah.
specifically, if you're talking about, going back to my excitement about marketing, and I sat in Martech then when I was kind of doing this type of work, but you can drive a lot of revenue, you can drive a lot of interest, you can drive a lot of things with just ML and data, even before the AI boom took off. And that volume is still what makes it useful because you want more data points to draw from. Um, and so I think that, same thing with AI. AI is only as good as the data that's behind it, ML and all the modeling that was done off of it, the exact same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
I think
Definitely.
we might be a little bit better at processing data these days. I would say that, just a little. Um, but that being said, yeah, that's commonality.
So, so I have, oh, David, you were going
I
to
was
say
just going
something.
to say, just to put it in perspective, Sumo does 3.5 exabytes of data a day, which is a stupid amount of
It's
data.
like all of Netflix or
I
something.
still
I
can't wrap
mean,
my head
It's
around
an
that number.
insane amount of processing, and that's where I go back to. It's gotten better, and Sumo's definitely at the forefront of that.
yeah, no, the scale of it. I remember being like, how big is an exabyte? Like, like
Yeah.
how big would that SSD be?
Go back to
Like,
Mario terms. It's how many coins?
yeah.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
85 billion gold coins in
Yeah.
one pipe.
It is one of
One
those
pipe.
numbers that you like, the difference between like a million and a billion, when you start kind
Mm.
of quantifying that, is like that exabyte number is just insane.
And if
I
we
mean,
don't, we
Never,
should 100% have a visual because I feel like
yeah,
it's hard to grasp.
It's like
right.
that grains of rice guy, I think. He did the thing
Yes.
about like a million versus a billion,
Yeah,
and I feel
mhm.
like we need the same for exabytes because it's
yeah,
like this is a
Yeah.
movie. This is an exabyte. You
right,
know?
right. Yeah.
It's when you were in middle school and you had to like take the pen and the basketball, and you're like, this is the sun. And you're like, this
Right.
is Earth. And you're like,
The head of the pin.
whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. So,
Zoe,
I
you were going to
mean,
ask a question.
I was, well, because this is me kind of using my ill-gotten time with you, Eric, to ask the burning questions that I have, that I think also apply
I
to
plead the
other
fifth
people.
just in case,
Yeah, right. Just,
depending on what comes up.
right.
So, I mean, of course, everybody always gets along and loves every meeting that we're all ever on. But on the off chance that I want to debrief after a call, with a coworker, you obviously have access to all the data in the back end of what you have. You can see everybody's Slacks, you can see everybody's Zooms, I assume. Like, I don't even want to know what you know about me
Uh,
because I'm a little
Pleading the
embarrassed.
fifth on that level of access. They say I'm
Right.
already doing it.
Yeah.
My
Um,
resignation is being sent to Adam right now.
Yeah, David
It's
doesn't
like,
know it, but he was fired a month ago.
no.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do have to ask, like, for those of us who want to have a private debrief after a call, should I be using Slack? Should I be using Zoom? I mean, I know I should actually just use my private cell phone, but if I want to have a face
I
to
was
like
gonna say,
as best as I could have a face-to-face call with someone, is it Zoom? Is it Slack? Is it, WebEx? What do I need to do?
I'm glad you covered the personal angle, so I don't have to. So I can only endorse the professional approach.
Yes, yes.
But barring that, you know, may or may not be best option. The you know, internally, I would say stay away from your messaging platforms. They're the most easily retrievable. Now, not I did not say easily parsable. Depends on the platform, but
Mhm.
easily
Mm.
retrievable. And I've sat on the GDP side of the world. It's multiple companies, acted as a data controller a little bit. When I get asked to go find things, that's where I can find things the easiest. Um, Zoom's much safer. Things like that. They there's a certain limitation to what they can and can't do without your authorization. But recent learning, again, don't know everything, but every state has their own laws too and what they'll allow from a recording standpoint too.
Oh.
And Zoom, use at your own risk too, because somebody could technically still record you from their device and it'd be legal in certain states without your consent.
Mhm.
And I'm in
So,
Arizona, which is like Wild West laws. We don't do laws out
yeah,
Actual
here.
Wild West. Yeah.
like I'm in Vermont and I only recently learned that you don't need dual party consent. So there's layers to this. But in terms of data
Interesting.
retrieval, your video calls are much safer so long as you have those recording and AI tools disabled.
We
Yeah,
just
don't let the
do
AI listen in.
we just do video conferencing through alligators here.
Oh,
In
yeah.
Florida.
Yes.
In Florida. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean they don't have they don't got the Umdula Amangata and they got all the teeth and it makes them angry, according to Adam
I still
Sandler.
have
So
my go-to alligator in Lake Nona from my time there. So we'll get our alligators connected.
Nice.
I love it. I love it. I have one more like burning security question because I have been told on this podcast by other security leaders, just ask your security friends, ask the people who work in this, and they'll tell you the truth about like if I'm in danger or not. So, obviously when I go to a restaurant since COVID, I don't get a menu anymore, because they're like, just scan this QR code and, do it on your own device and touch your own things. Um, but but out and about or during like the Super Bowl, I'm sure there will be ads or whatever it might be that say like scan this QR code. Am I in danger when I scan a QR code? Like, should I just not, or is it
That's the
safe?
soundbite.
Like,
Am I in danger?
am I in danger?
Yeah.
No. Um,
That could have
no,
been the name of this podcast, actually. That
Yes.
that's true.
Mhm.
Maybe consider. No,
Yes.
I would. My not as educated as the other security guests that you've had on here. Just gonna humble myself immediately compared to some of those. Um, I would say it's relatively low risk so long as you pay attention to the terms and conditions that you're accepting on the way in, depending on what comes up after you scan that code. And I would say most of the risk that factoring in is definitely on the human using it.
Mhm.
Less on the
Oh,
QR code itself.
Yeah,
okay. So
that
I'll,
makes
I'll
sense.
That's
maybe
my
get Rick rolled as like the worst risk I have to face.
don't click
And
on
I
yeah.
would
it.
like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's just it. I learned with phishing emails, don't click on anything. I don't know. Is QR code clicking? Maybe. I don't know. Am I being phished right now?
I mean, you're always being
Maybe.
fished.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and I may get some definite pushback on this, but I still feel like mobile devices have an edge on how susceptible they are compared to endpoints in
Oh.
general for
That's
that type of
something
thing.
I have that conversation with my mom a lot. It's like, Mom, if you're on a computer, don't click things. If you're on your phone, still don't click things, but worry about it less at least. I mean,
Yeah.
because
Ask the smarter security folk too, and they'll probably argue with me on that one, but at the same time, I still feel like marginally better.
I
yeah.
say just be a security fatalist and an AI fatalist like me. Click on all the shit. Doesn't matter. Go
This is
for
true.
it.
If you have nothing
Click
to
on
hide,
everything.
truly
Go
just do
for it.
whatever you want.
I
I
don't
Yeah.
have any
mean,
money. What are you going to steal? This? You going to steal this? No one wants
Your
this.
That's the
likeness.
Florida man in you
Yeah.
talking, David.
Yeah.
Tamp him down.
You steal my
Damn it.
alligator?
Florida man. Yeah, that's a persona for sure. Well, Eric, this has been super fun. Thank you for talking to us, sharing some of your kind of day-to-day experience, the experience that you've gained over the years. Definitely, it's been a fun and interesting conversation. So thanks for jumping in. Thanks to all of our listeners, viewers, and we'll see you on the next episode of Masters of Data. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Bye.